So this is the story of my first solo camping trip. I was 9 years old and camping in the wilds of my parents' front yard, about 20 feet from the door. And this was back in the 70s, and had a little nylon two-man pup tent. It had the two aluminum poles, one on each end, that broke down into three pieces. And I was 9 years old. I obviously didn't have a lot of experience camping and stuff, and I set up, all my gear by myself, and didn't put the stakes in right, and all that. Just, I was new, and it stormed that night. A lot of thunder and lightning and wind and rain, heavy, heavy rain, and I woke up. It was probably about 2 o'clock in the morning, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and the tent, that front tent pole had collapsed, and I woke up and the tent was on me, and it was, the cheap Walmart. There wasn't a Walmart back then, but the cheap nylon tents, and water was coming, soaking through the tent, and I was all wet and stuff, and I didn't have a flashlight with me or anything, but a little bit of light from the lightning and stuff flashing, and I noticed there was something beside me in the tent that wasn't there whenever I went to bed, and kind of freaked out, like, what is this thing? I assumed it was some kind of animal, because something that crawled in the tent, but I couldn't see what it was, and it was pretty good size, and so I laid there afraid to move, because there might be some kind of monster laying there beside me that's going to get me. And so I finally worked up the courage to get out, and I was trying to, as stealthily as I could, crawl under the collapsed tent, and open up the zippers, which I noticed were kind of already a little bit open. Open up the zippers and get out. And as soon as I cleared the tent, man, I took off running into the house, and I came through the door. Luckily, my parents left the front door unlocked, but I crawled in there and looked out the living room window down at my tent, and I just sit there staring. Man, it must have been like 15, 20 minutes, and with the lightning flashing and stuff, I saw the tent start moving and everything, and I saw this thing come out, and it was a beagle, a big old beagle dog, and I guess just some stray dog. I had never seen it around near my parents' house before that, and I never saw it after that night, But and I guess what had happened is those tents, they had the zipper that zips down, and then it zips from each side, and all three zippers meet in the middle. And I guess I didn't get, I just kind of halfway zipped everything down. There must have been a little gap between the zippers. The only thing I could think of is the dog kind of got his nose in there, kind of moving, running around, and the zippers opened up, and he crawled in there. And I don't know if the tent collapsed when he was doing that, or if he got in there or whatever. But yeah, the dog came out of there. The dog was probably thinking, man, this idiot, I'm gonna go find some place dry to set up. This idiot doesn't know how to set up a tent or whatever. Getting wet in here. But yeah, that was my first solo camping trip, and learned a lot. I learned a lot since then, but I learned a lot that night, getting the stakes in better and doing them right, and always making sure the zipper's all tight, yeah, man, the amount of things I've learned from mistakes mainly. They say if it's true that you learn from your mistakes, I should be a genius, by now. As many mistakes as I've made in everything in life, but especially in camping. But yeah, that was it. My first my first solo camping trip. 9 years old, in my parents' front yard. Had woke up with some monster laying beside me. And, yeah, it was good times. Good times.